Hey there folks, for today's video we're going to talk about one of the most fundamental theories in geology, the theory of plate tectonics. Now the basic idea of plate tectonics is just that the Earth's crust is made up of several plates, and these plates are constantly moving relative to one another. So to explain this theory, let's talk about the evidence for it and how the theory came to be. So for a long time, explorers and map makers had been noticing the continents seem to fit together like pieces of a jigsaw puzzle, particularly South America and Africa's coasts. But it wasn't until 1915 when this dude, Alfred Wegener, formally proposed a theory that the continents moved around. He called his theory continental drift. And he proposed that the continents just sort of plowed their way across the seafloor. Now, this method of movement wasn't really correct, but he had a lot of the right evidence for it. Not only did the continents seem to fit together, but there were also glacial remnants found across the world which seemingly aligned with the way they seemed to fit together. Now, paleontologists had also found fossil remains of the same kinds of animals could be found on multiple continents, implying that they were once one landmass. Unfortunately for Wegener, he didn't really have a reason why the continents moved around, so his continental drift theory was never really accepted by the scientific community. Later on, during World War II, some people were doing magnetic surveying for the military, looking for submarines and water mines and the like, and ended up making a couple of new discoveries. Now, ferromagnetic minerals in the crust are aligned based on the Earth's magnetic field. Now, what they saw in these minerals was that magnetic north seemed to be moving around over time. Now, this polar wandering brought in some new evidence for the idea that the crust is actually shifting around. These surveyors also found bands of alternating polarities spreading out from rifts in the seafloor, recording times when the Earth's magnetic field reversed. Now, the fact that these formed unique bands layered next to one another instead of just on top of one another provided evidence that the seafloor was actually spreading. Another bit of evidence found through seismic surveying was that earthquakes and volcanoes form most along these discrete lines around the world, defining the edges of the tectonic plates. But wait, I hear you saying, why are they moving? And if the seafloor is spreading and new rock is forming, where's all the old rock going? Now just hold your horses, I'm getting to that. As far as a mechanism for movement, the current theory is that convection cells in the mantle are moving the plates around. In these convection cells, hotter, less dense material from nearer to the core moves up, forcing down the colder, more dense material near the surface. The material that forced down then heats up and rises, while the material that had gone up before now cools and is forced back down to heat up again, similar to what happens in a lava lamp. Now, several of these convection cells are active in the mantle, and their motion is the driving force behind plate tectonics. Now, for where all that old rock goes, we can look at the different kinds of plate boundaries. First, we have divergent boundaries. These are where the plates are pulling apart from one another. Magma comes up through the gap and then cools, creating new oceanic crust. Next, we have transform boundaries. At these boundaries, the plates are just sort of sliding against one another. Here, crust isn't really being created or destroyed, it's just moving. And last, we have convergent boundaries. At these boundaries, one plate moves underneath or subducts under the other plate. The subducting crust is then pushed into the mantle, where it is melted and ultimately recycled into new rock somewhere else. That pretty much covers the basics of the theory of plate tectonics. I did kind of gloss over some topics covered in this video, so I may elaborate on them in a later episode. But that is the end of today's lesson. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked the video, please leave a like, I really do appreciate it. And if you would like to suggest topics for future episodes, leave a comment. Till next time.